Alright, so this is how I prepare the calipers to paint them. Pretty much I came up with my own little design here, so I mostly just mask off what I don't want to get any paint on, which is the undersides and the side right here where you would see the Shimano lettering, and this middle part where it would have the SLX letters in there. The other thing too, the nipple for the bleed nipple. I was thinking I could just pull it off completely, but then I'd have to worry about covering up the hole. So I just unscrewed it. There goes my neighbor, sorry about that. But anyway, I just loosened it up enough so that I could get the tape in there. So once I tighten it up, it'll look pretty clean on there. The other part is inside. I didn't want to get any paint on the pistons, so those are covered up. And then I put this old little clip here just to cover the part where the thread is, where the axle thread's in there. So I just put that on there, and that seems to work okay. The other thing I don't want to get any paint on is where the banjo fitting goes on. So for that, I just have a bolt. It's a brake bolt that I have. It just drops right in, and it's perfect. It covers it perfectly. When you buy a new caliper, they come with this bolt and this O-ring in there. But I figured I had this, and this has that extra washer, so it fits a little bit nicer to cover it perfectly enough that I don't have to worry about masking anything off. So that's what I've been using. Now when I started to cut this round, when I wanted to cut this rounded tape, I was having a hard time. At first I just kind of put the tape on there and then started cutting along, but that was a little bit cumbersome. It took me a while. So what I did is I got a socket. This one happens to be a 14mm socket, which was the perfect size that I wanted to cover up that part. So I just put a piece of tape on this aluminum block here, and just trimmed along it, and that seems to work out pretty perfectly to give me a nice round circle to cover this up. So the other part is just taping off this little piece right here. Just a little bit of a detail there. So now this is ready to go get painted. Actually, I did it already, but I've been touching it, and I've been having to touch other shock oil and grease on my fingers. So I'm just gonna wipe it with some more rubbing alcohol. Give it a wipe before I take it outside, and give it a shot of paint, and then clear. So that's it. Alright, so I have the caliper mounted onto the fork. There's no adapter in there. I don't need it anymore. I just needed some way to fix it so that it's not moving around on me while I'm trying to work on it. And I'll have easy access to it also from the back side when I'm trying to bleed it. I have the lever up here on my handlebar. I'm able to move it around in case I have to get in there, and when I start putting the funnel when I'm trying to bleed it, I can move it around. But now we just need to mount the hose onto the caliper, and for that we use the banjo that comes with the caliper. But one thing I noticed is that with the caliper you get this thick O-ring. This comes with the caliper. With the hose you get 3 of these thinner O-rings. This one's considerably thicker, and what I found out was that when you try and use this fat one on this banjo, it doesn't really fit in there properly, or it doesn't get in there well enough to give a nice seal on there. So yeah, I'm not sure why they give you this one fat O-ring. I don't know, but keep an eye on that if you are trying to insert this into the caliper. Just make sure that the O-ring is properly seated in there and it's not sticking out from the caliper in any way. So I already have an O-ring in the banjo, and I'll just insert it in the hose, and I'll insert the other O-ring, and then I can start mounting this onto the caliper. So for this, since this is, I am going to be blading this right now, I do want to tighten this up. Like that. Now one thing I could have done before I mounted this on was cut my hose. I still haven't cut it, but I have marked it where I want to cut it. So luckily I have it here in my work area, so I'll be able to cut it right here without a problem. For that, I just use a nice blade cutter. There's a somewhat new blade on there. I could probably use a new one, but I've used it for opening bags and stuff like that. It should be okay. Actually, I'm going to put a new blade on it when you pause this, and I'll get back to you with a new blade. Alright, so I got a new blade on there. Came with the kit. So now I'll cut the hose. And the right one, it's the last, or the piece of the end closest to the end. So that's it, clean cut. Now I'll just remove my tape. Now I think one thing I forgot was the cover for the hose. For the lever. When you buy the hose, you also get a bag with one. So I have extras of these as well now, but I'll use the one that came in the box. So that will be the first thing to go into the hose. And let me get my fitting and olive ready. Alright, so I have everything ready here now. For now, I'll be removing this cover. I first have to install, or I've installed it first. That's how it's worked for me. But this has to go in, or it's easier for me to get this in the hose first. So that's what I'm gonna do. And to do that, you get these little clamps, plastic clamps with the hose kit. So you just clamp them up with some vice grips. That's what I use. You can also, if you have a vice, you can put it in your vice, but I'll be using my vice grips. So that'll make sure it's, you got a nice good grip on it, so that when you hammer this in, you have it a little bit easier. See, it's kind of hard to get push in there, but nice hammer will get it in there. So that's what you want to see. Now we can insert our cover. Make sure you put it in the right way. You want the fat side, or the big open side, pointing out. So smaller part first, like that. And after that, we can put our fitting. This is what you'll be tightening up onto the lever. And the olive. This is what makes the this is what makes the seal onto the caliper. So what happens is, as you tighten this nut, you'll be pushing up on this brass, I think, olive, which will expand it, creating that seal with the lever. And it will also crimp down on the hose end, so that it's not able to slip out. So that's the way it works. When you put it in to the lever, just kind of keep pushing on it, because you don't want the hose to come out or move at all while you're trying to tighten this. That way you get that nice seal. So let's try putting it on. For that, I use an 8mm wrench with, you see how it's not a regular wrench like this one. This will be the one I use for the bleed nipple. This one has the extra little rounded off ends to it, and that's, it's made for fittings, so you have a better grip on the nut, as opposed to an open-end wrench like this one. So in case if you're having to take one off and you're having a hard time, like stripping, because I know not with bike brake fittings, but other fittings working on cars, these round out pretty easily. I'm not sure about these, but I'll use this just in case. Let me raise up the camera so you can see it. So I think that's a little bit better angle. You kind of see my wood here. It still has the little cover that it comes with. So I'll peel that off now. And I'll start getting all this mounted. Okay, so here I'm holding on to the hose so that it doesn't get a chance to slip out, and then I'll start tightening it up. Now if you feel that it's getting tighter, don't be afraid to keep on going. You have to pretty much crush the olive so that it seals up against the end of this right here. So keep on tightening it until it becomes like that. That's a lot harder than it was before. I'm one more little eighth of a turn, or yeah, that should be it. That was on there pretty tight. That should be a nice seal. Make sure the hose is on there, you can pull on it. I did make a mistake of not putting pressure on this hose on one set that I was working on, and when I tightened the fitting, I guess one of the end of the olives wasn't on the hose, and pretty much the hose just pulled right out after I tightened it. So yeah, you don't want to do that, so just keep pressure on the hose, keep pulling or pushing it towards the liver and tighten it up, and you should have something like that now. So now all we have to do is start putting in the mineral oil, and we'll bleed it, and that's it. That's pretty much it. This was the hardest part, believe it or not. Or that's what you would think, but the bleeding, that's what takes the most time, which even then it's pretty much just a regular bleed job that you would do on any other previously fully functioning set of brakes. So that's all. Let me get my bleed kit ready and we'll start bleeding it.